All right, let's get right into it. We need to talk about a serious issue that's popping up for millions of retirees. You see, Congress finally passed a law to give a lot of folks back the Social Security benefits they were owed for decades. On the surface, that sounds like a huge win, right? Justice served. But there's a nasty little surprise hidden inside that payment, a tax trap that could let the IRS take a pretty big chunk of it right back.
So I'm talking directly to you if you're one of the millions of former public servants out there. You know, our teachers, our firefighters, our police officers. If you got a big one-time retroactive check from Social Security this year, in 2025, then you absolutely need to listen up. That money was a long overdue correction for years of being shortchanged. But believe it or not, it came with a massive string attached that, well, nobody really warned you about.
Okay, here's the bottom line, the urgent part. Because of a simple but tricky timing rule, that lump sum payment could easily shove you into a higher tax bracket. It could make way more of your regular Social Security benefits taxable, and it could even jack up your Medicare premiums in the future. And here's the kicker, you've got a really short window to do something about it. The IRS, well, they're not going to call you up and walk you through this, but that's exactly what we're going to do right now.
To really get why this is happening, you gotta understand where these payments came from in the first place. You know, this wasn't some kind of stimulus check or a government bonus. No, this was your money that you were already owed. And it's the very act of correcting this old injustice that accidentally created this brand new tax problem. So for more than 40 years, there were these two rules on the books, you might have heard of them, the Windfall Elimination Provision, or WEP, and the Government Pension Offset, GPO. In a nutshell, they unfairly cut or sometimes completely wiped out the Social Security benefits for people who also had a pension from a job where they didn't pay into Social Security. Think teachers in many states. Well, in January of 2025, the Social Security Fairness Act finally got rid of those awful rules. And the most important part, it made the fix retroactive. And this chart, wow, it really shows you the sheer scale of what happened. We're talking about the Social Security Administration sending out $17 billion. That money went to 3.1 million retirees. The average check was around $6,700. For people who had been shortchanged year after year, this was a huge moment of financial relief. It was validation. But, as we're seeing, it came with a pretty big complication.
And here it is. This is the heart of the problem, the core of the tax trap. The IRS doesn't care that this money was technically earned over the last year or even over the last decade. They have one simple rule. They tax it all in the single year you received it. So that means your entire lump sum payment gets dropped right onto your 2025 tax return, creating this artificial one-time spike in your income that can cause a whole cascade of negative financial effects.
So, you know, this isn't just some abstract problem with numbers on a tax form. Oh no. This income spike has very real and often very expensive consequences for retirees. Let's actually walk through a few real-world examples to see how this plays out for people just like you. What's just fascinating and kind of scary is how a seemingly small amount of money can trigger a huge tax change. Let's take a retired teacher from Ohio. Her provisional income, which is basically your income plus half your Social Security benefits, was around $31,000. At that level, about half of her Social Security was taxable, pretty standard. But then she got a $7,200 lump sum. That one payment pushed her provisional income just a little bit over the $34,000 threshold, and bam, just like that, overnight, up to 85% of her total Social Security for the year is now subject to tax. The result? A surprise tax bill of $2,000, maybe $3,000 she never saw coming. And the pain doesn't necessarily stop with this year's tax bill. The financial impact can actually ripple into the future. Think about a retired firefighter and his wife who received a combined $14,000. That income spike on their 2025 tax return does more than just affect their 2025 taxes. See, Medicare looks at your tax return from 2 years ago to set your premiums. So that spike in 2025 income is going to trigger what's called an IRMAA surcharge in 2027. It's a delayed penalty that could cost them hundreds of extra dollars every single month in Medicare premiums for a whole year, all for getting money they were already owed.
And this next situation, it's just particularly brutal. Imagine a widow. Her husband was a public servant, and under those old, unfair rules, her survivor benefits were completely wiped out. The Fairness Act restored them, and she got a lump sum check. But now she has to file her taxes as a single person, and the income thresholds for when Social Security becomes taxable are much, much lower. That one payment can easily push her from owing zero tax on her Social Security to having 85% of it become taxable. And this all happens while she's still grieving and trying to navigate a whole new and much tougher financial reality.
Okay, so that's the problem. It's a big one, it's serious, and that tax deadline is coming up fast. But here's the good news. There is good news. The tax code actually has two powerful but kinda hidden tools that you can use to fight back and potentially save yourself thousands of dollars. Most people, and frankly, even a lot of tax preparers, just don't know about them.
The first tool, and honestly the most important one, is something called the lump sum election. Basically, the IRS gives you a choice here. Instead of piling all that retroactive money into your 2025 income, this election lets you do a special calculation. You figure out how much extra tax you would have paid if you had received that money back in 2024, when it was actually earned. And the best part is, you do this whole calculation right on your 2025 tax return. No need to file a messy amended return for last year.
What's so critical to understand here is that the default option, just letting the lump sum fall into 2025, is almost always going to be the worst choice for you. It artificially inflates your income for 1 year and can push you right over those tax cliffs we've been talking about. By using the lump sum election, you can often keep your income for 2025 below those key thresholds, and that usually means a much, much lower tax bill. You just compare the tax both ways and pick the one that saves you the most money. It's that simple.
Now for the second tool. I want you to look at this number and just burn it into your brain. $6,000. This number represents a brand new tax deduction that almost nobody is talking about, and it was created specifically to help seniors like you.
Okay, so this thing is called the senior bonus deduction. The reason so few people know about it is because it was buried deep inside one of those massive 1,000-page bills. Here's the deal. It's a $6,000 deduction for single filers over 65. It's a whopping $12,000 for a married couple if both of you are over 65. Now, there are income limits, but they're pretty generous, and this is on top of your regular standard deduction. But here's the big flashing red warning sign. Because this is so new, a lot of the popular tax software programs are just not catching it. They aren't applying it automatically. You may very well have to go in and find it and claim it yourself.
All right, we've laid out the problem and we've talked about the two key solutions. Now, let's pull it all together. Let's create a clear step-by-step checklist. These are the exact things you need to be doing right now before that tax deadline gets here.
Okay, let's walk through this together. Step 1. Go find your Form SSA 1099. The lump sum amount is clearly listed on there. Step 2. Do that provisional income calculation to see exactly where you stand with those tax thresholds. Step 3. Use IRS Publication 915 as your guide and run the numbers for the lump sum election. Step 4. Do not forget to claim that new $6,000 senior bonus deduction if you qualify. Step 5. Hey, if you already filed your taxes without doing any of this, don't panic. You can file an amended return. You've got 3 years. Step 6. Look ahead. Check if your new income level is going to trigger those Medicare IRMAA surcharges in 2027 and be ready to file an appeal. And finally, number 7. Remember, the good news is your monthly benefit is now permanently higher, so you need to plan your taxes accordingly for all the years to come.
Now, I want to be really direct about this last point. Yes, it's true. Congress has introduced a bill called the No Tax on Restored Benefits Act. It would make these lump sum payments completely tax-free, which would be amazing. But here's the reality. As of right now, today, it is not the law. So please do not wait for it to pass. You need to file your taxes correctly now, using the tools we just talked about. If the law changes later, great. You can always file another amended return and get your money back. But if you wait and that bill doesn't pass, you could be stuck with penalties and interest. Don't take that chance.
So let's end with this one thought. The Social Security Fairness Act was passed to right a decades-long wrong. This money, it belongs to you. You earned it, but a simple quirk in the tax code is threatening to snatch a piece of it right back. It's really up to you now to be proactive, to use the tools that are available, and to protect what is rightfully yours. The question is, are you absolutely sure you're not about to leave thousands of dollars on the table for the IRS to pick up?